Welcome to the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast with Michael LaFido, where top luxury agents reveal their best practices, plus interviews with real estate industry influencers, thought leaders, and luxury marketing experts. You'll come away from each episode with new strategies and tactics to dominate high-end homes in any market. And now for the latest episode of Luxury Listing Specialist. Here's your host, luxury real estate expert, coach, and trainer, Michael LaFido.
Hey everybody, Michael LaFido. Welcome to another episode of the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast. We are streaming both video and audio. Those of you that are listening, we'll bring our guest on here in a second. I'm really excited about today's episode. From time to time, we have guests that we meet through our trainings or perhaps going to these events and these conferences. And this guest has got a really great story and very inspiring. But before I bring on Heidi, just a couple housekeeping items, just a reminder, if you guys are getting value from this podcast or previous podcast, please leave us a like, leave us a review. We need more of those. And again, we are donating our time with this, and our guests are donating their time. And so we want to bring value to you, and we're open to any recommendations. If you have a guest that you think would be a great guest on our podcast or perhaps our show, Luxury Fridays, again, go to luxuryfridays.com for more information there. But we do a free weekly live stream. If you think you'd be a great guest and you have a success story or doing something different or unique, please just shoot us a note, shoot me an email, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com. This is episode 188. We're coming up on 200 episodes. So again, if you have somebody that you think would be an amazing guest or you have a great story, please don't keep it a secret. Share it with others. We've had inspiring stories in previous guests. I've had a gal that went through our course, Jennifer Williams, shared an amazing story. We're going to have an inspiring story coming up today, and that's really what this is about. Also, we're doing more in-person events. We have an amazing upcoming event coming up, and that's going to be May 12th and the 13th in Chicago. You can go to luxurydesignation.com, luxurydesignation.com for more information on that. All right, I'm going to bring our guest on here, and we're going to bring Heidi Joy on. So Heidi and I, first off, hi Heidi, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
I'm doing excellent. So we're trying to think, you and I were trying to figure this out when you were on a panelist at our recent designation training at the Miami Association of Realtors. We're trying to figure out, I think 2018 or 19 is when you and I first met. It was at a Keller Williams, I think luxury retreat or maybe family reunion, and that's how you and I first met, through a dear friend of ours, Leslie Akers, who was former president of Keller Williams Luxury Division. And so I think that was right. Is that how you and I first met?
Yeah, it was a luxury retreat in 2019.
That was a great event. By the way, if you listeners, if you work with for sale by owners, and if you ever have talked to a buy owner and they say, well, I'm going to list it with my mom, or I have a close friend or relative that I feel obligated to list my house with, that 2019 luxury retreat, I met an agent out of Austin, Texas, and she referred me to a client. That client ended up calling me. That client was listed with mom with Sotheby's, ended up firing mom and hiring us. So if you're ever talking with a prospect or a client and their mom's a real estate agent, in the past, I used to say, you're never going to be able to, get that business, so to speak. But that Austin event, that luxury retreat, referral, we got some business from it, and that was from speaking at it. So Heidi, tell everybody a little bit your backstory. How long have you been a licensed real estate agent? And then we'll share a little bit of your story. And one of my speaking coaches years ago, actually it was 2009-10, a guy named James Malinchak. He was on some TV shows, but he talked about successful speakers they talk about the turbulence a little bit so that people can relate and realize, hey, these people are human. And he uses the term from mess to success. But we all have some turbulence. We have some trials and tribulations. And before we go into that, tell everybody a little bit how long you've been licensed with and where are you based and all that good stuff.
Sure. So my name is Heidi Joy, and I am in the Tampa Bay area of Florida, which includes Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, that metro area there. And I service basically a 3 or 4 county market. Got licensed in the late 90s and had about 20-year career in real estate before I entered actually working with luxury clientele.
Okay. And you, last couple years, you've really started to take off with your average price point. And that was something that you had shared with me. So from a business perspective, tell everybody a little bit about, your average price or perhaps the luxury pricing, how that's taken off recently for you.
So our market is very diverse. We have, from $75,000 condominiums to $25 million beautiful beachfront homes. So it's very diverse. And for close to 20 years, my average sales price, because I wanted to help everybody, was around $200,000. So it took a lot of work to make money, right? Sell a lot of houses. And in 2018, I split with my former partner and started over. And that was also the same year I turned 50. I got a divorce. I moved. And while the market that I'm in is only 30 minutes away from where I used to live, I could have moved to Chicago with you, and I would have known the same amount of people. I didn't know anybody, and nobody knew me. And it was kind of interesting. One day I remember I Googled my name, and there was nothing. There's nothing. 20 years worth of work, and there was literally nothing. And I said, okay, we're going to have to do something different here. And, people had tossed around over the years, you would be great in luxury. Well, of course, who wouldn't be great in luxury, right? They're big, expensive homes. They're beautiful. Sure. And the people have lots of money and you make more money.
Right.
But how the heck do you do that? And so I just kind of made a concerted effort as I was starting from scratch again. What's my brand going to look like? What am I going to look like? What is my value proposition going to be? And I went to a luxury training in Miami in November of 2018. In contempt prior to investigation, I'm like, oh boy, what's this going to be like? And it was awesome. And it was that little bit of confidence booster that I needed at the time. And I got some legs under me, if you will. And then it was just a couple months later that I attended your training. And the thing that I loved most about your training was you actually sell real estate. You're not just some guy talking about theory and practice and whatever. You actually do it. And that was so inspiring. And that entire event that I was at, so that luxury event was a bunch of people, that were practicing selling luxury real estate. And it was all of that. If they can do it, I can do it. I attended 2 events with you so far this year, and it's only April.
Yes, I know. And we'll get into that. So yeah, you were at my event in Denver, our designation event in Denver in January, and then you were a panelist and just attended our event in Sunrise, Florida, which is just outside of Miami. So 2 events already this year. I'm honored, and I consider you a friend. And I want to step back a little bit. And Heidi was very transparent, and it can be emotional, the transparency, and I appreciate that. So, you were in the business for some time. You Googled yourself, and nothing came up as far as real estate and successes and press and your portfolio didn't come up online. And so, I mean, you reinvented yourself. You talk about rebranding, and in your case, you renamed your last name, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and tell me about that.
So
What
again,
went into Joy?
I had to really think about what I wanted to represent. And I always come from a huge place of authenticity. And I knew that I needed to change my name because there was nothing out there anyway. And Joy was my middle name.
Okay.
And I have since changed it to my legal last name. And it also became a mantra for me when I wasn't feeling so hot. 2018 was not a great year at all. And I look at everything now as everything has to be done with joy. And if it's not fun, I'm not doing it.
That brings me to a point. Several years back, I had a lender and a couple other people approach me about, hey, let's partner up, let's do some things together. And I'm of the same mindset, like your strategic partners, we call them in this business, right? So title, lender, home inspector, stager. I mean, they could be amazing what they do, but if they're not pleasant people, or they do what they say they're going to do from a business perspective, but perhaps from a character, or, hey, would I go have a drink or meet this person for lunch standpoint? If they drag you down, if they're toxic, so to speak, then there's other businesses and other relationships out there that can be had. So joy is really important. I'm going to bring on my screen right now Heidi's website, just so you guys can see. It's a beautiful website, and it's htsells.com, and so luxury living made possible. So this is Heidi's website. We'll make sure we share this in the feed. Actually, it's coming across your screen right now, and that's how you guys can get a hold of Heidi. But I want to make sure we include that as well. So again, you are listening to the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast. This is episode 188. I'm your host, Michael LaFido. Again, you can listen to this episode or previous episodes by going to luxurylistingpodcast.com, luxurylistingpodcast.com. So you and I, this year we've been at two events. We did a designation event in Denver, which is our first one of 2022. It was in January. And then I did a second one in Texas, just outside of San Antonio in Fredericksburg in February. We toured a $17 million mansion at that one. At the event that you were at, we toured a $7 million mansion. And I just released that podcast 186. That agent is Ashley Tate, and she attended our event, the same event you went to. You couldn't stick around for the mansion tour. Is that correct?
That is correct. Unfortunately, I had to get back to the beach. You had me freezing.
Yeah, yes. It was cold in Denver. So we toured a $7 million mansion, and on the last podcast episode, we interviewed that agent. She had never sold a $500,000 listing in her career. And Ashley's got a $7 million listing, only being in the business for a year at the time at our class, now a year and a half. And she's under contract on that. So that's the kind of stories we tell. We don't just bring on Jenny Rockstar, veteran agent. We bring on strategic partners. We bring in various people to provide tools, resources, and knowledge. I tell agents, when you grow your knowledge, your confidence will grow. So, what are a couple key takeaways that you got from either Denver or Miami, out of curiosity? Because you've seen me present a lot. So many times people think, well, do I want to go see this guy again or see some other presenter again? And did you get anything from our last Miami or the Denver event?
So you say that all the time. When you grow your knowledge, your confidence grows. Well, I don't know about you, but I need to hear things more than one time. And that's part of the reason I continue to attend the same trainings over and over again, because I'm in a different place. You're going to tell a different story. And again, that confidence is going to grow. And I think especially, at least for me, when it came to luxury business, there's sometimes this level of intimidation where you might not have a whole heck of a lot of confidence. And how do you get that, right? You surround yourself with people just like you that are working and doing the same things that you are. You listen to their stories, you hear how they handled a certain client or situation, or how they marketed something, and your confidence grows.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's amazing how that works, isn't it?
it's cool because I shared that my average price point for almost 20 years was 200,000. It's quadrupled in 3.5 years.
Jeez. That's
Um,
amazing.
and that's with concerted effort and really truly branding everything with luxury, and getting designations, getting specializations, getting certified in different things. I've always been an avid learner, and I don't ever want to stop, because I don't ever want to be the one that thinks that they know everything, because I don't. I can always learn something new.
Yeah.
And I continue to learn something new with every conversation, for example, that you and I have. There's
Yeah.
always something to be learned and take with you.
Hi, it's Michael LaFido here with a quick break from the podcast. If you are committed to increasing your average sale price and you want to work smarter, not harder, then you want to check out luxurylistingspecials.com, where you'll find out more information about the Lux designation along with some additional resources. Again, I'll repeat, check out luxurylistingspecials.com. And now let's get back to the show.
No, you're absolutely right. You have to come from a student perspective. You can always learn. There's always a different technique, perhaps a better technique, a better software, better system, maybe a new way of saying something. And that's one of the things that I'm always, I just got back from the Inman, New York conference, which is a staple conference I've gone to for years. And it was the first one they've had in New York since January of 2020, before the world changed as we know it. And so it was great to see many good friends. And, one of the things, you build these relationships. And so, I consider Heidi a friend. I have other people on our podcast that I don't know that well, and I wouldn't consider them friends, but just experts in their field. And I want to pause for a quick second and acknowledge somebody else before we get back into this interview with Heidi. This is a very inspiring story. And those of you that are watching could see this. This is a friend of mine, Trey Scott. And I just put in the chat feature for anybody that's watching. Trey, he's got an uphill battle with his heart, and they started a GoFundMe page. So anybody that is my friends, anybody that's watching, anybody that's listening, that donates to Trey's fund, we're going to be scholarshiping. We're going to have a raffle, and we're going to be scholarshiping off our designation to one lucky winner as a thank you. Anybody that knows Trey Scott knows he's got a heart of gold. He's with Keller Williams. Trey was a business partner of mine. Many people don't know this, but about a year ago, my role was really just helping up packaging up of it. But I helped with the CDS, the Certified Diversity Specialist designation. And Trey, myself, and Julia helped launch this. And so, long story short, Trey's a great man. He's got some upcoming trials. Keep him in your prayers. And if you know Trey Scott and you feel like perhaps donating, I would hope that you can consider that. I told Trey we're going to start for the next month on our live streams. We're going to give him some good exposure so we can get some more prayers, as well as hopefully raise some funds. So if those of you that are watching, that's the GoFundMe link, gofund.me /F as in Frank 3078 ADB. So gofund.me /F3078. Not 3078 ADB, 3078ADB. I'll leave that on the screen, and I'm going to bring us back to Heidi Joy. And I know Heidi doesn't mind me doing that during her show because she's got a heart of gold, and I would do the same for her. So that's my good friend, Trey Scott. All right. So Heidi, you're a student of the game. You can always be learning. That's one thing that I love about you. If you were to be dropped into a new city and start over, what would be one or two, or maybe three things that you would do? A lot of our listeners are trying to break into luxury. And then let's start with that. And I have another follow-up question to that.
Sure. Well, if I were to be dropped into a new city, I kind of was.
So you can relate.
What I did. I picked up and I moved, and I live where I want to sell real estate. I did that on purpose. I joined a country club, not because I play golf, but because I wanted a place where I could go and meet people and socialize and do that kind of thing. And I know that this sounds simple, but keeping your head up, smiling at people when you see them, talking with people when you see them. We can't be a secret agent. And the simplest conversations while you're taking a walk. I always talk about going and buying a dog if you don't have a dog, and taking it for a walk to go meet all the dog people. The way that you meet people is the same no matter what, right? But you want to do it in a more strategic location. So I moved to where I wanted to sell. And then again, the education piece, I can't speak enough about that to get that confidence, which I didn't really have. Because if somebody asked me, have you ever sold a, $4.7 million house? My answer would have had to have been no. But I can say that now because I had enough confidence to go after that business. And I'd love to share just a real quick story with you.
Please.
So again, in 2018, I moved and I relocated, and I was going through a divorce, and the marital home was still the marital home, and I went and I moved into a rental. And again, not the happiest time ever. And I remember sitting in my little rental going, no one's ever going to buy a house for me again, because I don't live in a house that I own. I own multiple homes. I just didn't happen to live in any of them. And I got to know my landlord, and her real estate agent that she'd worked with was getting sick. He had Lou Gehrig's disease. And I just was very appreciative of the fact that anytime anything happened in my rental, she sent somebody out right away. And we never actually spoke on the phone. We text. And I'm not a big texter. I really love to talk to people. I'm a face-to-face or phone person. So this was kind of a weird relationship for me. And I remember one Sunday in the end of 2018, she texted me and she said, Heidi, will you show me this property? And I'm like, sure. I haven't taken a shower. I'm in yoga pants and my hair's on top of my head. Is that okay? And she says, oh no, we're not fancy people. It's fine. So, like I'm trained to do, you have the one that they want to see, and then you have a couple of backups because you know that they're not going to like that one. So I run out quick and I call her on the way, and I'm like, you are not going to like that place that you asked to see. Let me show you this other one. It's right around the corner. So I met her and her husband, and we're looking, and I said, wait, before you say anything else, there's one more I want you to see. And we'll go take a look at that. At the end of that day, she bought both of those homes from me. And during those two transactions, I started to get to know her and her husband. And during the home inspection, her husband says to me, can you believe my wife? And I'm like, what's that? Well, we live in this beautiful house on the water, but she wants to live on the sand. She wants to live on the beach. I said, well, happy wife, happy life. So I started to build this relationship with them. So I sold their $1.1 million house on the water, and then I sold them a house on the sand for 4.7. So that quick Sunday morning, not luxury dressed or look, meeting these folks and building that relationship. She has since then done almost $30 million worth of business with me.
Wow. Wow. And you just don't know where your next deal is going to come from. In this case, it was your landlord. And, we had similar stories all the time. I had a $10.5 million listing last year, and it was from a referral of a guy that probably owns a $400,000 home, but he borrowed our work truck. We had a on the move, if you will, wrapped box truck, and he would use that. So you just don't know where it's going to be. Again, folks, we're talking to Heidi Joy here. And again, her website is displayed, htsells.com, HT as in Tom, sells.com. Check it out. It's a great website, by the way. And I love what you've done there. It screams luxury. So good job with that.
And it's always through the things that you think are the worst that end up actually being the silver linings that turn out being great. And you were sharing about your friend and he needs some help and you're trying to raise money for him. I'm going to rewind one or two hurdles back from 2018.
Yeah.
In 2012, I was in a really serious automobile accident and broke like everything, suffered really bad head injuries. And it was, again, not one of my best years. And I remember going to see my neuropsychologist that was helping me with cognitive issues and stuff like that. And I was advised to get out of the business. I remember sitting across the room from this man. And he said, Heidi, you can't do this anymore. And I said, I can't do what? He said, you can't do this anymore. I said, I understand. I heard the words. What do you mean? And he said, you can't sell real estate anymore. It's going to kill you. It's going to be too hard. It's going to be too stressful. You need some job in a florist shop or something like that where you use creativity and have routine. What? And it felt like my guts were being ripped out of my body. I had so much of my identity tied up in what I do. Don't anymore. And I was like, this can't be right. And it's why I love that prove them wrong sign that you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's in my office. It's on the back of my book.
I had multiple professionals tell me that I couldn't do this anymore. And that was another strategic decision of why I needed to sell higher price points so that I had to do less transactions to make the same or more money.
Work smarter, not harder, right? Increase your average sale price.
Yeah.
Free up time. I tell agents money freedom equals time freedom equals relationship freedom, which I got from my friend James Malachek, but I've added equals location freedom. So with location freedom, literally, right, you could sell in Florida and be licensed somewhere else, or have team members, or leverage your time, or leverage other people's time, right?
Yep. So, again, that was one of those really dark times, and there was a lot of struggle and, horrible depression and pain, and I still have chronic pain, but I've learned to live with it. And it became one of the greatest blessings because I had to change the way that I lived. The way that I lived didn't work for me anymore. And I had to get really strategic with my time. I still only probably work about 6 hours a day. I know that people think that that's impossible. But when you become, the keeper of your time and honor it, it can be done. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I know, especially right now with the market being as crazy as it is all over the country, there's a lot of people that are working crazy long hours and weeks, and and they're burnt out, and you can feel it. I don't ever want to show up and be that person that's burnt out.
Well, give us an idea of how you can get burnt out. You shared with me when we were in Miami that you had a listing that, how many offers did you have? 30, I want to say.
Over 30. Yeah.
Over 30. And so, everybody's so excited. Hey, good for your seller. But what do you got to do with those other 30, right? I mean, you got to be the bearer of bad news. And so that, is not, those aren't easy phone calls or emails either.
again, it becomes very routine and systematic and templated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't ever want to be the person that doesn't answer the phone. So on an instance like that, was that a long day? It certainly was.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you that the moment that we hit pending on that, I didn't speak to anybody the following day.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care who you were or what you wanted.
Yeah.
It was a long day for me.
Yeah, that's a long day. Hey, my friend Steve says, great story of victory and overcoming, very inspiring. So that's great.
And I'd also like to share, because of that 30 offer experience, since then we've implemented a new system, right? Because I'm like, that was ridiculous. So now we have an offer submission form that you have to answer a bunch of questions, and you have to upload your offer, and it goes on a spreadsheet. So I don't have to do any of that manually anymore. And then when we call time, they're all there ready for me to look at. Because through every lesson, right, we figure out a better way to do it in less time.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, in Inman, New York, there was a vendor that is actually going to be a sponsor at our designation event in Chicago. And they have a software that just does that. They timestamp all the offers and they do everything. They're an Australian-based company. And so that's great. Oh, my good friend Rita, who helps me with our print marketing, says you're doing awesome. So thank you, guys. And Heidi is awesome. I wanted for her to tell her story, and it's very inspiring. What during some of those tough times, is there a tip or two that you would want to share with somebody when you were kind of at your lowest low to help you, see light at the end of the tunnel, to help you get out of bed or go to the gym or go to the office when, quite honestly, I'm sure you didn't feel like it?
You have to have those people in your life, right, that are there through thick and thin. And I always say, thank God we're not all in the same place at the same time. That are your cheerleaders on the day that you don't want to be one, are the ones that don't take no for an answer when you say, no, I don't want to go. They come and get you anyway. I have a very close-knit group of people in my life, both inside of real estate and outside of real estate. I call them my we. And, we help each other out. And again, thank God we're not all in the same place at the same time. And I've learned, and I don't know if it's a German thing or whatever, but, I grew up and you were never supposed to say when you were hurting, you were never supposed to ask for help. You were just supposed to keep on going. And I've learned that model doesn't work for me anymore either. If I'm struggling with something, I have no problem. I'll pick up the phone and I'll say, Michael, have you ever had this before? Like, can you believe this? This is crazy. And you'll be like, sure, I had that last week. This is how we fixed it. It's amazing what happens when you ask for help.
Uh-huh.
I don't have to figure out everything by myself. Asking for help is huge in all things, both personal, professional, and same with personal struggles. I'm not the only person that's ever been injured before. When I started to learn about other folks that had the same struggles, they saw this neurologist, they saw this chiropractor, they saw this person. Mm-hmm. And I started to network that way as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, but you're absolutely right. You talked about can't be a silent agent. You can't be a silent friend. When you need something, your friends, your true friends are there, not just for your successes, but also when you're at your lowest of lows. One of my good friends, a guy named Phil Adler, I'm very thankful for Phil. We played high school football together and then junior college football together. And I'll never forget, football was very instrumental to where I'm at today in my life as far as success as business, success, hopefully parenting is football for me, taught me discipline, taught me working through things when you felt like giving up. And I'll never forget, there was a Saturday morning practice, freshman year, doubles practice, 2-a-day practice at the College of DuPage. And Phil Adler says to me before the first practice, we're kind of looking at each other like, he's like, what are you feeling? He's like, I'm thinking I want to quit. I'm thinking I want to quit. And I told Phil, no, come on, buddy, you can do this. But he planted those seeds of doubt a little bit. So maybe I looked at that first practice skeptical. So after the first practice, I kind of looked at him, and if he would have said, let's bolt, I probably would have. But he had a good practice. So he's like, no, don't do it, Mike. You can get through it. And so I stuck it out for the second practice, and later got a scholarship to Northern Michigan. And like I said, I attribute a lot of our successes to proving others wrong, and that refuse to lose mentality. And again, I had a close friend that was near me. That's how we were able to punch through some of those difficult times. So I'm going to throw your website up here one more time, Heidi. And is that probably the best way someone could go there, and all your contact information's there if they want to get in touch with you?
Yes. And obviously now you can Google Heidi Joy Realtor and you can find me. I'm not invisible anymore.
You're not invisible. And you weren't invisible then, believe me, but you might not have been as Googleable back then as you are now. And that's what we tell agents, right? We talk about SWOT analysis. If you were to look at your website and your social media, or better yet, if somebody else was, is it optimized? Your website is beautiful, by the way. Is it optimized? Is it updated contact information? Your LinkedIn, your Instagram, maybe you're doing TikTok. So some really great information there. Any parting words for anybody, Heidi?
Take care of yourself so that you can take care of others.
Take care of yourself. I'm typing that in. Take care of yourself so you can take care of others.
Put your own oxygen mask on first.
I was just about to say that. I just flew back, and there's a reason they say that, because if you're oxygen deprived and you're panicking, there's no way you're going to be able to help someone else out. So take care of yourself before you can take care of others. That's not selfish, by the way.
No, it's not selfish. And I had that backwards for so many years. I thought I had to be all things to other people. And I always put myself last on the list. And I don't do that anymore.
Good. Great words of advice. Heidi Joy, everybody. Thank you, Heidi. I appreciate your time today.
Michael, thank you so much. And I hope to see you soon.
I hope to see you too. We got our event in Chicago. If you want to see me 3 times, come up in 3 weeks. Okay.
You got a baby this week.
I know.
Granddaughter. I can't do it.
Oh, I don't blame you. You stay down there.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Heidi.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. For everybody else, just a reminder, if you're getting value from this podcast or previous podcast, please leave us a 5-star review, leave us a like, leave us a comment. If you've gotten our book, Luxury Listing Specialist, on Amazon, we're seeking to get more reviews this year as well. So we greatly appreciate everybody's time. Make it a great day. Build others up. Prove others wrong. And it's amazing how much we have in common if we turn off the news and we just focus on each other and just talk to others. The media wants to label, they want to divide. And you talk about building others up. The best way to build others up is be attentive, listen. Okay. You got 2 ears, you got 1 mouth. Listen to people, ask good questions, and give people your time. My name is Michael LaFido. Until next time, this has been another episode of the Luxury Listing Specialist podcast. Don't forget to tune in each week. Every Friday, we're doing live streams. You guys can go to luxuryfridays.com, luxuryfridays.com. And that's where literally we are bringing on guests today. Earlier today when I filmed, we talked about best listing packages. So luxuryfridays.com. You guys can go to our YouTube channel, go to YouTube and go to Marketing Luxury Group. If you go to YouTube and go to Marketing Luxury Group, hit that red subscribe button, you'll be notified for future episodes. Until next time, everybody, my name is Michael LaFido. You've been listening to another episode of the Luxury Listing Specialist. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.